Hello, folks. I'm your host. My name is Mick, and this is a word from the shadows. Today's date is Tuesday, April the 11th, 2023. And I thought long and hard about what topic I would discuss today. And I decided to explain why my wife and I ultimately decided to relocate to sunny Central Florida from the New York City metropolitan area. It was at the height of COVID, um, you know, and it was the winter time, and so we said, man, we need a break from all this chaos and madness. People driving up and letting alleged nurses inject a vaccine that hasn't been properly tested in their arm in some parking lot. And this was going on all over the place, but really a high concentration of people lining up so an untested virus could be injected into their body in a parking lot or in a school gymnasium or something. So we needed a break, and we had heard a lot at that time about how Florida was dealing with the pandemic and how they had managed to keep their economy up and running, at least to some measurable degree, as opposed to the rest of the country. And a nor'easter was blowing in. It was projected to dump feet of snow, starting in the northeast and coming 3/4 of the way down the east coast, heading south. And we got packed up, and we were able to get 5 or 6 hours ahead of the storm. And literally, there were several times when the storm literally almost caught up to us, and we would have to speed up another 5 or 10 miles to just barely outrun it. A couple of times we got slightly overtook, but we were able to mostly outrun it. And we got to sunny Central Florida, and we saw that commerce was booming. The state was handling the pandemic as responsibly as people with common sense could handle it. The hotels were open. People were walking around on the street. Yes, some people were wearing masks, and that's a personal choice. If you choose to wear a mask, have at it. I myself would wear a mask if I was in a crowded area. But we know how viruses are transmitted. I, for example, sneeze, I don't wash my hands, I touch a surface, I leave virus there, another person comes by, inadvertently touches that doorknob or that water faucet or some other item that has a high degree of touch probability. That virus is transferred to their hand, and at some point in the future, they rub their eyes or nose, the virus goes into the membrane of the eye or the nose, and subsequently makes its way to your blood system, your bloodstream. Or you're in a confined area and someone is coughing and sneezing, not covering their mouth, or you don't have a mask on, and you breathe that virus in, and it goes into your lungs and subsequently your bloodstream. So once I understood the best way that I can take personal responsibility and really help prevent the spread of the virus and me contracting it and my wife contracted it, once we understood this, We understood that we were caught up in the middle of madness in New York. It was freezing cold. The price of living is astronomical. You're paying $5,000, $6,000 a month for a shoebox apartment. And meanwhile, as a result of COVID, office space rentals are at an all-time low. And not just New York, the surrounding area, and every other major metropolitan area in the country. We're in the age of Zoom, babe. And COVID helped usher that in. Now, consequences, people will say, well, he had to suffer the consequences of his actions. Consequences isn't exclusively something that is associated with negativity. Consequences could be, hey, I went to work all week and I got a paycheck, and that's the consequences of me going to work all week. So COVID, by way of our misinformed and unintelligent, allegedly fairly elected leaders, decided, and Andrew Cuomo is chief among them. He had the great idea of, hey, let's take these COVID patients and put them in the old folks' home with people that are at the most vulnerable state. The guy has multiple lives lost on his hand. And even the Democrats, and I'm not a Democrat or Republican, I belong to the common sense party. Even they had to get rid of that big dumb. The only reason why he was ever governor of New York is because his father was the governor of New York and he had name recognition. His steroid-taking workout freak brother, he's another big dumb. They did a whole lot to help undermine the fabric and the culture and the commerce that was once bubbling in New York. That's one of the reasons why I love that city. When I got there 30 years ago, I felt like anything was possible with this great American city. I felt that I could achieve great things. And obviously it doesn't always work out for everyone, but there's an outrageously huge amount of success stories because of the energy of New York City and other great metropolitan areas within our country. Now, those two lame brains did everything they could do to destroy it. And they almost succeeded. Well, we got down here to sunny Central Florida and we realized this was where we wanted to be. Because we could work half as hard and live twice as good and not have to give up any of the art and the culture. You know, now, of course, you have a lot of artists and musicians, really talented ones, that still live in New York. I have a lot of friends that are artists and musicians that live in New York. But a whole lot of artists and musicians and writers and actors had to leave New York because they couldn't afford to pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month for a shoebox-sized apartment. So they relocated to places like Asheville, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, sunny Central Florida. That's the reason why, as quiet as it's kept, or maybe not even anymore as quiet as it's kept, you have a bubbling art, culture, music scene here in Central Florida. Plus, I got endless summer. Plus, I got thousands of miles of beach. Plus, I got a government down here that don't want to reach into every aspect of my life. Tell me what kind of cigarettes I can buy. Come on, man. Them lame brains in certain places have outlawed menthol cigarettes. Now, I'm not advocating anyone should smoke cigarettes, but if I'm an adult, I should be able to buy whatever kind of cigarettes I want to buy to smoke. Some lame brain said, oh, menthol is, it's, come on, man. Our Creator gave us freedom of choice. Who is some lame brain, moronic, lame brain idiot to tell me I can't smoke a menthol cigarette if I want to? I'm an adult. You know what? I'm not easily offended. Every little thing someone says doesn't offend me. I don't have to go cry in my safe space. Even though I'm not opposed to individuals having safe spaces, because we all need to recuperate and rehabilitate ourselves from time to time. But I'm not thin-skinned. I can take criticism. That's part of life, criticism. Every day ain't going to be happy and joyful. It's up to you to figure out how you can move forward in spite of all the odds. And I know sometimes it's tough. But if you fail, you try again. You keep moving forward by whatever legal means that you can use. Okay? Life is competitive. I have no problem giving a participation trophy out to a small child or a very young person. Yeah, I don't want some young person or a child to feel bad about themselves. Personally speaking, about 8 or 10, my child's going to know. You got those participation trophies when you were a little kid because I wanted to help build your confidence and your self-esteem. But understand something, the real world is extremely competitive. It's dog eat dog. It's tough. And the reason why you have so many people, individuals who need safe spaces for every little thing that's said is because they were never exposed to failure when they were a young person, an adolescent. And when it came in the way of bullying or something, and then it was everybody else's fault, not their fault. Now, I'm not saying bullying is a cool thing. Don't misunderstand me. We've all been bullied in school. It was horrible. But you can't let every little thing hurt your feelings. Because if you do, you won't never be able to move forward. You know, if my child was 8, 10, 12 years old, I'm going to sit them down and say, hey, the world's tough. And the way you get ahead in life is you absorb information and you thicken up your skin. Because there's going to be many a times in life when somebody says something mean to you or you get bullied, even as an adult. And you can't let that define you. I refuse to be a victim. I'm an ex-con. I've did state time, New York state time, and federal time. And when I came out of prison, I never identified as being a victim. Yeah, I was victimized. I'm a victim of the war on poverty. I'm a victim of the war on crime. I'm a victim of the war on drugs. I've been through a lot of changes in my life, as all of you guys have. But when I was released from prison, I did not embrace victimhood. I tell you what, life's hard for all of us. But I kept moving forward, one step at a time. And I had setbacks. And I still have setbacks. It's called life. But I found a way to keep moving forward. And I know it's tough. And everyone can't always do that. And I'm for help. But the problem is when you start reaching into every aspect of an individual's life, it opens up a door where it ultimately leads to people identifying as being a victim. We've all been victimized. We've all been bullied. It sucked. It was a horrible thing. And I wouldn't want to see that happen to my child or no other young person or anyone. But it is a part of life. Okay? The world is a tough place. And if you don't realize that, you're going to have a hard time of it. You know, I try my best to toughen my skin, to have a thick skin, to have a can-do attitude, and never embrace victimhood. It's easy to do. It's easy to do, but you can't allow yourself to fall into that trap. Otherwise, you'll never be able to move forward. Me and my wife have made a beautiful life down here in Central Florida because we have a can-do attitude. We don't have a thin skin. We understand that the world's tough and it's hard. But we look at what can we do within certain legal boundaries to continue to move forward one step at a time, even if it's a baby step. One step at a time. You keep moving forward. I'm a huge prepper because I know I can't depend on anyone to take care of me and mine except me and them. You know why? Because push comes to shove and there's only 1 gallon of gas left, you ain't going to be the only guy who wants it. Okay? And sometimes you got to get out there and you got to work hard. You know, you got to get dirty, greasy. People's going to say nasty things to you. But I don't take it to heart. I let it roll right off my back like a duck and figure out a way to keep moving forward. And that's what I hope you'll do too. So, until next time, this has been a word from the shadows.